You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlon freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon. I am in a surprise location. I'm in Costa Rica. We're on the west coast in a town called Tamarindo, right on a small bay with beautiful beaches and stuff. It's a, oh, whoa, look at those waves over there. Wow, that's a beautiful break. But it's our wedding anniversary, and we took Kai with us. This is our first real big exotic vacation in a long time. I think since we got married. We went to Jamaica. But anyway, this episode we have my review of the Gran Fondo 100 that I was in. I got first place, and I cover it in two parts. First, I talk about stuff that anybody could do, little tips and tricks that are real handy, because I figure I put that in the front. And then we take a break from that, and I take you with me to discover and talk about the 5 hindrances in Buddhism. It's kind of like the 10 commandments, but they only have 5, and they're not really sins per se. They're things that you should do, that things that are holding you back, and how you should do things to get around that. And that's really neat. And actually, I cover the 4th and the 5th one for this episode, but I do talk about the others. But then we go on and talk about an email I got about what do you do when people in the pool are faster than you and it's irritating. And then we go and talk more about the Gran Fondo 100 at the end, things that I did personally, and my review, like as I went through the day, and how I actually handled it, and more of like the personal stuff. I thought I'd throw that there at the end. Yeah, so we're gonna get into all that, but this is day. We've been here 24 hours, I think, in Costa Rica. We flew into Liberia, and then drove. It's just over an hour drive, and thought I saw a monkey. There's definitely monkeys here. I haven't really seen many yet. And by the hotel room that we're at, there was all kinds of bird noises. But I came down here, and here there's the ocean noises, just 100 feet away. And it's very calming. I can't even begin to describe it. Costa Rica is a total trip. And I've spent a lot of time, we live in Texas, I've spent a lot of time in Mexico and stuff. Oh, there's squirrels. We have those in Texas. Boy, they're acting crazy though. And, but I did see an iguana, a huge iguana. He's really close to our hotel room. So the squirrels here are red. Yeah, red. Their tails aren't quite as bushy. Very cute. And it's spring break here. So it's both a ton of young people, but also not a ton of older people. So I don't even really know what to make of it, but we'll have the rest of the wrap up of the show at the end of the show. So let's go ahead and get into our Gran Fondo. It's a 100-mile bike ride. How to execute a 100-mile bike ride. I do it as if I'm doing an Ironman bike ride, 103 miles, and then our number 4, number 5 of the 5 hindrances, which is restlessness and doubt. And then our swim question, and then cover more of the Gran Fondo. All right, here we go. All right, we are going to talk about how you can have a very successful Ironman bike ride, which pretty much your whole Ironman hinges on. Because if you go too hard on the bike, or you mess up the fueling or hydration on the bike, then your run is going to suck, and you'll have lots of trouble with that. So what happens is, for the past 3 years now, there's been a 100 mile, and it's actually 103 miles, Gran Fondo here in town, and it's every year it's gotten a little bit earlier. So now it's March 3rd. Every year it's been about a week or two earlier, and it is a really great start of the year to see how my training over the winter went, and what I've learned and what I've improved on and what I need to get smarter about. Really where the rubber hits the road. And it's a giant charity ride, and I wouldn't say giant, it's a small size charity ride. But there's, I should mention, I'm in a parking lot. I just ate a jerked chicken taco, these gourmet tacos, and a blackened shrimp taco, pineapple, pico de gallo, and all kinds of, gourmet stuff. The trick is to learn to not eat it all. As soon as you start feeling a little bit full, it's actually probably a little bit too late, and just put it in a to-go bag or ask for something to wrap it in before you even sit down if you can, if you know you're gonna get more than what you need to eat, and then go. But anyway, it was really, really good. And if you hear any strange noises, there's some construction going on over there, but there's also some birds and stuff, so it could be pretty nice. And there's a highway a few hundred yards away and occasional car, so we're going to hear a little bit of that. But anyway, this turns out to be a really good way to test out your training, and what are you doing wrong and what are you doing right for an Ironman bike ride. So and there's aid stations every 20 miles or so, maybe 15 miles, and you have to no, it's probably every 10 miles, but you have to stop to get aid stations, so you just can't roll through, so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. And anyway, I treat it as exactly like I am doing an Ironman bike ride. So I try to emulate the zone, the heart rate zone 2, and I've learned so much by doing these. And when I get off the bike, could I run? How would if I had to run a marathon? Kind of like I can only imagine getting off the bike. How far would I be able to go before I'd explode? And did I go too hard? What did I learn? And all my fueling and hydration, all that stuff. So it's really, really great. And there's actually even a 500-mile version of it that does gravel on it as well. I'll get into all that in a minute. But this one is 100-mile, and then there's like a 70 and a 60 and a 30 and a 20 and all this other stuff. But they, for the 100 in the morning, they start off the 100-milers first, and then I go. And there's some other triathletes in there on tri-bikes, a lot of roadies, and in general, it's all for charity, and it's a really, really good time. I like to treat it as a race, and it's sort of a race, because Emily likes to kid me. It's a big joke, that Brett, you won another charity, right? Well, I mean, Ironman races are actually charities. They donate all that to charity. Anything physical, fitness stuff is really, it's not real. These are made up competitions. And when you have that in mind, and then also the other thing is, I told Emily, I said, did they or did they not give us race numbers? Are we not wearing numbers like we're racing? And she said, well, yes, but that's still not the same thing. And I said, okay, but that's how you know it's a race, is if it wasn't a race, we wouldn't have numbers. And also, I still know it's really not a race. But then also, another coworker of Emily's told her that if there's more than one bike, it's a race. And everybody knows, dude, a group ride just with some friends ends up being a race. Every single one of them, as soon as you start having a whole bunch of people involved, everybody's really trying to see who can win this thing. So, and I won it for the third year in a row, and it was a ton of fun. So before I get into the personal things that I worked on, I thought I would put the tips of how things that everybody can use to help out right at the very front. and then we can get into the stuff that affected me, and the more drawn out kind of stuff. But anyway, first thing is, I haven't ridden on the road on my tri bike in months. I've been on the trainer, and I still averaged. I got first place, and I averaged 21.4 miles per hour, and did 230 watts, I think, was my average watts. And there's all this debate, well, you can't really train and be any good unless you ride on the road. No, that's not true. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the weekend before the race, I was worried. I wanted to ride on the road, and then to get a feel for the road handling and all that stuff. And then it rained, so I couldn't get out and ride for real. And we had a bunch of stuff come up. I was like, this is not good. So it was not my preference. Ideally, I would have ridden the weekend before, several times before, out on the road, kind of make sure my bike handling is all there and everything. That's dependent on the person. I've been riding bikes for so long, I can pick up the bike handling pretty quick. But there was a couple times when I stood to pedal to go up a hill, the bike front end got weird on me, and that was alarming because it's not locked down anymore. But I think aside from that, I adapted pretty quickly. And so there's a stuff where like the top pros have figured this out, and that's where I got my authorization from, where it became okay with me when I started reading that Andy Potts, Lionel Sanders, all these guys, the best of the best out there, train on trainers, and then a little bit on the road, and it keeps them safe, and then it ups their power and all this other stuff, right? And boom, there you go. It worked out all right. Okay, and then let's see. Another tip is the night before the race, I was going to go to the grocery store and get some, like bagels and stuff like that, so I have them in the morning. And then Emily goes, what if you want me to just make some pancakes? And I thought about it, and pancakes are an awesome fuel. Pre-race, even during like long, slow, and easy race, because they have carbs, but they also have egg in them, and maybe a little bit of milk, I think. And so it kind of depends on the pancakes you use. So egg, if you do get a protein and a fat, is like really easily digestible, and then you've got your carbs. They're light and fluffy. And what I did was I just put them in a Ziploc, and then I was able to snack on them as I was driving to the race start. And it was really, really cool. So as I was getting ready, I would just snack on pancakes, because I got to the race start an hour before the race started. Well, about 45 minutes before the race started. And then on the drive took about half an hour. So you're like over an hour or so of not eating when you could be eating. It would be smart. Why not? But it needs to be digestible. And pancakes, man. Pancakes really, really work. If you put them in a Ziploc, I guess you could add some syrup to them if you wanted. And so that's another big tip right there. The trainer is fine. And then consider pancakes, because they're perfect and they're usable. I never had an upset stomach or anything like that. There was sections of the road that are really bad, and it's just because it's 100 freaking miles. You're going to end up on some stuff that's rough. One of the best upgrades I ever made to my bike is one of the cheapest upgrades that you can possibly get, and it's these elbow pads called CGs, CGs, and basically they're a little bit thicker, not by much, just a tiny little bit thicker, and they're made out of some kind of neoprene or something like that, and they are cushy, man. And they make them don't think that you have a bike that these won't work on. They make them per all the big brand names to replace your stock elbow pads. It's the very first thing I did when I got my Trek. Took the old elbow pads off and got CGs and put them on. They are amazing, and they make bad pavement so much better. And if you're going to be spending a long time out there, it's totally worth it. Okay. Then let's see. Oh, I found some rear bottle cages that actually work. So a problem is you hit a pothole, you hit a bump, there's a real risk of launching bottles out of your bottle cage on the back of your bike. And what happened was, I bought a specialized rear bottle cage mount, and then it ended up not working, but it came with these 2 bottle cages, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, well, I'll just use these on one of my bikes or something. And the cool thing is I put a water bottle in them, and I thought, oh my God, these things are locked down. This is really good. And I'm about to tell you the brand and model. And then during the race, I hit some stuff hard, man. Like doing 30 something miles an hour downhill. And then there's a bridge at the bottom and the lip of the pavement, just bang, you go kind of a little bit airborne even. Not much, but, it shocks the whole bike and you can hear everything rattling. I mean, it's really crazy. And bottles stayed in place like magic, man. It was awesome. Okay, so these are Specialized is the brand, and the Rib Cage 2. And they're just the plastic ones. They're the ones that came on. You can get carbon fiber or whatever, bottle cages. I don't think people really need that. But I finally found it when I was like, oh my gosh, this works. So now we're up to, you can ride your trainer tons, pancakes as pre-race fuel, and maybe even on the bike if you wanted to. CG's elbow pads, Specialized Rib Cage 2, bottle cages. Okay, and then now Zone 2 is for real. That is my note. I paid such close attention to my heart rate and what happened if I went over Zone 2 and under it. So to start off the race, I was a little bit excited and went out a little bit too hard. And then what happened is, once you start going over like 2-3 hours, you overreach out of your Zone 2, it will bite you back later. And it did. I was really not surprised. It was just really interesting. On the way back, because I was in Zone 3 on the way out, I was doing like 250, 260 watts or something like that. On the way out, I ended up on the way back, my power suddenly just started dropping, even though my heart rate was good, which meant my fueling was good. And so I had energy. There was just no power like coming off of me. And that's okay, because this ride, you got a tailwind on the way back, but man, it wears on you and it's not smart. So there was that. And then also I noticed that when I would go above Zone 2, I started feeling my food, which is really highly processed, highly digestible stuff, which I'll get to in a minute. I could feel it backing up in my stomach and making me a little bit sick. And that's that thing, is once you start getting high enough of a heart rate, once you get up into Zone 2, out of Zone 2 and into Zone 3, you can't digest your food anymore. There's not any blood left in your stomach and fluid left in your stomach to help digest your food. It's all in your muscles because you're trying so hard. So if you want to go long, you got to slow down. And then if you slow down, you can actually digest the food that you're eating. And then with that food, now you've got as fuel now running through your body. There's a bird going nuts over here. Then you can actually kill it out there and have tons of energy for longer. So it's weird. By actually going slower, you go faster over the long run, right? But we just get short-sighted. But if I went slower at the beginning, I probably would have gone another half a mile per hour faster or more. I would have more power at the end. So Zone 2 is for real. Okay. My bike fit was 100% spot on. I just couldn't believe it. I am 100 miles in, and my bike position, I feel like I could just keep riding in this bike position. I would say all day, but it was pretty damn good. And that's in spite of my longest ride being on the trainer, like 3 hours. And I didn't really do many of those. Did a lot of 2 hours. I just didn't have much time this year to do a lot. And so I've cut down big time on my training volume. Probably about, instead of riding longer rides both days on the weekends, just one day, and then that time being a little bit shorter. And it's like, well, man, I hope that I get out there and I'm not freaking dying. And it turns out, no. And so the reason why, there's two usable reasons. Is one, on the trainer, if you keep a bike tool nearby, and I've got one just that stays near the trainer in my training cave, I can adjust. You have to be okay with, and you have to do it. You have to adjust saddle position, handlebars, anything you want, right then and there when you start thinking that maybe something's off. And it's so much easier to do on the trainer with the bike tool out and right there than it is to do out on the open road and then guess. On the trainer, you can do it over and over and over again until you nail it, and which I did. And then the other thing, though, is if you do ride on the trainer a lot, that is easily possible to keep your head down and not be looking forward, because you don't really need to. I saw this, somebody posted something like an iPhone mount on their handlebars so they could watch videos while they're on their bike, like on the trainer. They can look down between their elbows and watch videos on their phone. And the first comment was, I wouldn't do this because you need to be looking forward to train yourself to hold your neck up, your head up, and your neck will thank you later when you're out on a long ride and you're dying because your neck hurts because you haven't done it in training. So on my trainer setup, I've made sure that actually the bike computer, not the bike computer, and I forgot to mention, mostly I watch YouTube videos and Zwift. I play the video game Zwift. I kind of alternate between the two, and listen to music on my iPhone and listen to AirPods. And the visual that I have, whatever I'm looking at, is a computer monitor in front of me, but it's set at a height where I actually have to look forward as if I'm looking down the road to I'm riding my bike, right? For real. And if I hadn't have done that, because it is very easy to go, I'll make it more comfortable and lower it so it's like, so I'm looking at my hands more or something like that. You're going to have problems if you go out and ride the real road for any amount of time and you haven't been practicing holding your neck and your head up with your neck. Kind of like if you were swimming and you're kind of looking forward. If you were swimming instead of looking down, that's the position you need on the trainer and the bike. So I had no neck problems. Another thing is the Garmin. The first year I did this race, I was not having fun because I didn't know where the bike course went, and it was pretty not well, it was okay marked. But when you're doing 20, 30 miles an hour and there's a turn and you're not sure, and you're riding out in the front with some other people and they aren't expecting you, this is how people go off course, right? And so the second year I did it, I put the bike course in my bike computer, and it told me with a map, if I'm on the road or not, if I'm going the right way, and then when my next turn is coming up. And also, I'll tell you, if you go off course, and which I did by mistake one time, and that was funny, but I loved it, absolutely loved it, because I'm like, because every once in a while you start questioning yourself, am I going the right way? Did I miss the turn? Mockingbird is going crazy. That's a mockingbird, by the way. The mockingbird is the state bird of Texas. It's just kind of an average looking bird. It's gray and white. But it can mimic like 30 different bird calls or something. And that's why they call it mocking. It's mocking other birds. There he is. I see him. And it's just endless, like the different calls. It's wonderful. It's absolutely beautiful. You could have 30 different songbirds, or you could have one mockingbird. And apparently they'll mimic humans. If I started calling to him, making some kind of sound, he would try to imitate it back, maybe. Anyway, it was totally worth the effort yet again to put the bike course in my Garmin. It was so nice. This year we had clear weather, so that wasn't a problem. But the second year I did this race, we had fog at the start, and having the bike course in there really, really helped. And heavy fog. And let's see. Since it was kind of dim in the morning though, when we got started, the sun was up, but it was still a little bit dim. I turned the brightness up on my computer, and also there was an option to have GLONASS on. So GLONASS is the Russian GPS system, and it's a little bit more accurate than the US GPS system. And so I just left that on. And honestly, I think that's bad. If you're doing long stuff, I got a warning on my bike computer towards the end that my battery was running low. And so what I did, if you have this problem, go to your settings and reduce your brightness. You typically, if you have a regular normal bike computer, you don't need hardly any brightness at all in the middle of the day. So turn that almost all the way down. And then honestly, for road riding, you probably don't need GLONASS. You could probably just have the regular GPS. And GLONASS takes more battery, because now you've got GPS and GLONASS like running at the same time. So it just takes up a little bit more battery. Here's another one. Sealant totally is worth it. For the dozenth time in all these years, I had a flat tire that sealed itself with sealant. And what happened was I crossed the finish line. I laid my bike up against a wall with some other bikes. I went over, had a beer, sat down for a minute, had a pizza roll and a donut, and then another beer. I walked over to my bike to take a picture of my bike, because I was like, my bike looks pretty cool like that after a couple of beers. And I saw there's something wrong with my front tire. And I went and looked, and I had a flat. And I took out my hand pump and my Camelback. I carry a hand pump. And yeah, I rode with a Camelback. And I'll get into all that in a minute. But I tried to air it up, and it aired up for a few minutes. And I came back, and it... I carry all the CO2 cartridge stuff too. But I don't want to waste one on this. I came back, and it was flat again. And so basically what's happening is the sealant was working while the tire was spinning. And towards the end, there were some really nasty rough roads. And something got punctured. Or it punctured it somehow, somewhere. And the sealant stopped it. But honestly, I only put in about half as much sealant as I should. And plus the tire's old. The tube's old. I needed to put a new tube in, so the sealant's old. And latex sealant goes bad after 6 to 12 months. And so it wasn't enough that when the bike was stopped, it wasn't enough to keep the hole plugged. But if that hadn't happened, if you were doing a race and you didn't have sealant in, and you picked up a piece of glass or something like that, you would have a flat tire, and you'd have to change your tire. And this works, man. Sealant really does work. So the sealant I use, there's a Bontrager brand, which is rated really good, and then there's an orange something brand, which is rated maybe even better. And let's see, another one, you shouldn't do this in a real Ironman, but this is just for fun. I listened to AirPods on the way out and back, and what I did is at the halfway point, I swapped them out one time while I was peeing. And we got to talk about that. Oh my God, the amount I had to pee was ridiculous. We need to work on that, Brett. I need y'all's help to tell me what's going on. But anyway, the AirPods only last about 3 hours, and I was out there almost 5 hours. So what I figured out is I wear an ear pod in one ear, and then when I get to a turnaround point and you're stopping to pee or something like that, take out one AirPod and put it in the charging case, and then take out your other AirPod that's been in the charging case, and then listen to that one. And it works. It works great. So I went from having music in my right ear to having music in my left ear for half the ride, and it's wonderful, man. It's really cool. And I was listening to Buddha Bar Radio on Pandora, and just going along, and you can tell if your fueling is right and your mood is right and your hydration is right if you start kind of dancing to the music while you're riding. That's how you know your fueling is right on and you're not going too hard and everything's good. The last thing is you really do save about, it's like half a mile per hour or something like that, maybe even more, depending on how hairy you are, if you shave your legs. And I'm not opposed to shaving my legs, because I grew up on swim teams and we would shave our legs for big races, right? What I am opposed to, personally, I think it's a waste of time, is shaving your legs all the time, because that's time that you could be out training, or if you're an age grouper, you've got family and whatever to take care of, and shaving your legs all the time is kind of dumb if you're a guy, and unless that's what you want to do, that's your business. But if you're on the fence about it, just don't worry about it, because what you can do instead is what I did the morning of. It took me 15 minutes. The morning of, before I left the house, I pulled out clippers and I clipped the hair on my legs, which is essentially shaving. It gets it down to 1 millimeter from my ankles up to my mid-thigh, and just clipped off my leg hair, and it took 15 minutes, and that's one time before my big event instead of all the time before every training ride and all that other stuff. And it only takes a minute, and you don't need to shave your legs. You can just clip them real quick, and I think it does essentially the exact same thing. It maybe shaving's a tiny bit faster, but honestly, then you get that shaved leg look, like you're serious. And also the other thing is, I'm not big into that, because I did mountain biking before I did road biking, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with all the shaved leg stuff. In my heart, I'm a mountain biker, probably more than anything else, and or BMX or mountain biker. Okay, so that is it with all the quick usable tips that I wanted to get out there at the front. Things that you can do that really do work and that really helped me, and have a great day out there and all the good stuff. Okay, I need to get off the mic and do something for a minute, and then I'll come back and I'll give you the lowdown on like how the race actually went, and that actually will probably take less time than what I just went through, because I've already covered all this other stuff. But just like the story real quick of how that day went and how I ended up in first place. All right, I'll be back in just a second. Out, bang. All right, let's go ahead and hop on over to our sponsors. We want to mention them, give them a shout out. Okay, on the left-hand side of the podcast webpage, ZenTriathlon.com, you can help support the show. There's a little PayPal link. You can do donations, one-time or recurring. And our donors this episode are Houston Marsh. What's up, dude? Michael Radogna, Derek Riddell, Allison Frutos, Matthew Heinz, Michael Wilkinson, M. Webb, Curtis Fossen, Spiros Fetsis, Tyler Moyer, Dwayne Morin, Joseph Deaver, and Rick Foster. All right, these are the people that help keep the show on the air. Super cool. And also, you can go on the right-hand side of the same website, ZenTriathlon.com, and find a link for Hornet Juice. Hornet Juice is an amino acid supplement that you can add to your fuel. I did it during the Gran Fondo that we're talking about this episode, and it makes you feel like a diesel engine. The power just keeps pouring on. One packet lasts an hour and a half, so it's great for the long distance stuff. And yeah, it's based on the amino acid profile that Japanese killer hornets use to power themselves, and they're the heaviest bug for the longest distance flying, and they do it by burning body fat. The scientists sat down in a lab and figured out what they were doing to get it done, and this is it. And when replicated in humans, it is amazing. I absolutely love it. It's good stuff. And when you order it, it comes from New Zealand, so you got something kind of cool. And it also helps support the show. A little bit goes to ZenTri for us promoting them. And then you get an email from me as well. So then you have my email address, and if you have any questions, you can email me a question, and I'll answer it. Might even answer it on the show. All right. Let's get back to the episode. All right, we are going to talk about the 5 hindrances, but really in particular, just one. And since we're going to talk about Buddhism and Zen, we have our resident Zen master here, Suji. Maybe you can hear him purring. What's that? Your jingle? Where's your jingle? There's your collar. Okay, Suji got out the other day and we had to rescue him. But anyway, that's our nice calming therapy cat. And also, there's an odd fact to know is one reason that we find purring so soothing is the resonance, and purring is the same RPM, I guess, the same cadence, the same tone as a diesel engine. Isn't that weird? Go listen to a diesel truck, and if you kind of quiet it down a little bit, it is a little bit like a cat purr. It's pretty cool. All right, we have the 5 hindrances. Okay, so in Buddhism, which Zen is a sect of, they're not really sins. Buddhism doesn't have sins per se, It has just suggestions and things that are holding you back, and that's why they're called hindrances. And Buddhism came around 500 years before Christianity. There's a little bit of suggestion that when Jesus was gone for 30-something years or whatever, that maybe he picked up some of this and brought it back and did his own flavor of it, because, man, this is really cool stuff. And Buddhism is big on kindness and stuff too. And that's why they can get along so well. And we have the 5 hindrances. So one is, we're going to go deep on just one, the fourth one, but sensory desire. So the particular type of wanting that seeks for happiness through the 5 senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and physical feeling. So this is wanting something for the feel of it. Sex, let's see, wanting that car, wanting that food, desire and not having the thing that you want causes suffering, and that holds you back. 2 is ill will, and it's all kinds of thoughts related to wanting to reject feelings of hostility, resentment, hatred, and bitterness. And then 3rd is very familiar to most of us listening here in the English language, sloth and torpor. Heaviness of the body and dullness of mind, which drag down into disabling inertia and thick depression. And then 4th is restlessness and worry. And that's an interesting one, huh? You don't hear that one, I don't think, so much in Christianity, the restlessness. But that's the one we're actually going to cover today and how to deal with that. And then doubt is the last one. And we're going to cover a little bit of doubt. Maybe we'll do restlessness and doubt. And what happened was I was out running, of course, and I was listening to the Dharma Seed podcast. And let me click on my phone here. I've got a picture of the exact episode so that I have it for us so that you can go listen to it, not for my own keeping here, because I've heard it already. And we go to photos, and it is the one from February 28th. John Martin, I think is his name. John Martin. And about 30 minutes in, the podcast is Dharma Seed. And about 30 minutes in, he talks about he talks about all these, but there was something that came up, and he was talking about restlessness and what to do about restlessness. And again, these aren't sins. These are things that are holding you back. And it was something that I've learned to do already. And hearing a Buddhist Zen, I wouldn't call him a master. I'm not sure if he's a master or not, but expert lecturer talk about to do something that I've discovered to do was validation. It was like, oh, wow, okay, so this is 100% right. I need to talk about it, at least on this episode, and get it out there because it is suggested, and I'm right on with this. So he said they were at some retreat, and they're new, and they're going to be doing days of calm sitting and trying to not think too much. And he said, if you notice, this is the part that's about 30 minutes in. If you notice that you are trying to clear your mind and not be caught up in the past or future, that thoughts, the first few days, thoughts about things that maybe you forgot on your way here, or that you need to do when you leave, are going to keep arising. And you should have a piece of paper and a pen out to write these things down so that you can put them away. And this is huge. Restlessness can be akin to ripples on water created by the wind that are occluding the clarity of the water. So what you want is the water to be still so that it can be clear. And then with the clarity, then you can see, oh, this is how this whole situation is. This is how the world works. This is maybe how I should deal with this problem, because now it's calm. Everything's calm. And that's why you go sit and try to not do anything. But these thoughts like, oh, when I get to work, I need to do this, or oh man, does my car have gas in it? Does it have enough gas for this trip? Things that keep coming up, that argument that you got in, and the things that you should have said, that discussion on a forum, like, oh man, when that person replies, I'm gonna say this back to them, and all that crap. Hey, get out of here. That's our non-Zen master dog. And that's Zoe. These things that don't allow you, these things that you can't do anything about in the past, really, and that you can't do anything about it because it's too far in the future, you can't do anything about right now, are keeping you from being clear about right now and really thinking about the most important things, the things that you actually can do and want to do. And so they are like ripples on the water. And psychologists say that they're in your subconscious, and and this is also a getting things done, GTD, which is a huge part of this. Huge part of this. This is maybe where I actually learned this one technique. They keep coming up because your subconscious is not done thinking about these things yet. And because you haven't written them down. And in GTD, getting things done, the whole key is you can have clarity of thought and be present for the now if you write down your tasks so you don't forget them. Your brain is bothering you because you haven't written them down, so it thinks that it keeps bothering you so that to keep you remembering so you don't forget. But if you write it down, then your brain knows that you've written it down, and it has to be written down in a place that that's a safe place that you're going to look at later. If you just write things down and just throw it away, whatever, that doesn't help. It needs to be a consistent place that you always have. So your notebook that you take with you everywhere, whatever. And if you write these things down, then your brain lets go of it, and then you can be present in the now. And that helps majorly with the restlessness. An example in triathlon would be this race coming up. I don't know what am I training right? Am I doing the right? Well, that's more of a doubt thing. But the restlessness, like I need to. I'm wandering around looking for my gear. I need to find things and stuff. And should I wear these shoes or should I wear those shoes? Should I wear these shoes or should I wear those shoes? Should I wear this helmet? Should I wear that helmet? Write it down and then create a bulleted list that spawns out with sub-bullets and stuff like that. If I wear this helmet, then this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And if I wear this pair of shoes, then this and this and this. And then once you solve it on paper, like the steps of what you're going to do, your brain lets it go. It's the coolest thing. A bulleted list maker like Google Tasks, the old one, where you can just continuously make sub-bullets and then collapse them, is a really cool way to deal with that. And then also workflowy.com and Dynalist, D-Y-N-A, Dynalist.com allows you to create bullets and collapse them and expand them and sub-bullets and stuff like that. They're both online, and you can think out a problem until it runs out of gas. It's really cool. So do I have all my stuff together for the race tomorrow? Okay, so I make the big bullets. Get up, go to the race, finish the race. Okay, and then under those, you can create sub-bullets, right? What do I eat after I get up, right? So it's got like eat breakfast. And then I did this actually for my bike ride. And then, get this together and get that together. And as you start visualizing and thinking out the morning before the race, you start realizing, oh, I got that handled. Oh, I don't have that handled. And then now you've got a checklist. Oh, and if I get a flat tire, do this. And you're like, oh, wait, I don't have a flat kit. So you got in there, check your flat kit, right? And then for that thing that's got you restless, you've got a whole plan of what to do. And these things allow you to make these bullets, turn them into check boxes, and then you can check them off the morning of on your way to the race. I did this. It's fantastic. It's really, really great. And then when you go to bed the night before and get up in the morning, you have 99.999%. There's always like something, that you're like, what? Forgot. But you have all these things thought of, and then you can sleep well, and that gets rid of your restlessness, the thing that's holding you back. And when you get up in the morning, you can have confidence of when you get to the start of the race that you got everything handled. And then because you've thought of like sunscreen. I mean, like you think of everything. You've let your list run out until there's no more list to be made. And then what to do if you have a flat tire, right? If it's the front, do this. If it's the back, do that. You thought it all out. And there's a famous, I don't know if it was Eisenhower, but every plans are useless in battle, but also, God, I can't believe I can't remember the quote exactly, but a plan is indispensable. You need to make a plan. And then also when you get there, be ready to throw the entire plan out the window, because as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I love that one. Then you got to be able to go on the fly, but at least you've thought of the different scenarios and what to do. And if you've got your post-race or workout thing outlined, it's just making an outline, basically. Outlined, then you're more likely to do the right thing. If after the event, race, workout, whatever, a really good thing to do is to do this the night before every day. As you go to bed, make a bulleted list of your plan for tomorrow, and then you're much more likely to follow through with it. Don't drink Diet Cokes, right? Put that on your list. All these things. And then you sleep on it, and as you sleep on it, your subconscious kind of solves some of these problems, and you've visualized and acted it out. It's a big thing in sports to visualize the perfect race, what to do. Then you're more likely to do it because you've kind of done it already in your mind, and your brain and body doesn't know much different. And then you can be step 4, along past step 4 in your 5 hindrances. The fifth one, which is really interesting, the doubt, is this lecturer, Mr. Martin, said that that's like the water itself isn't clear. And the Brazos River runs nearby here, and there's a great country song, kind of folk country, that says, the Brazos runs muddy like she's run all along. That river is brown. You can't see anything in it. It's just sediment runoff and stuff. Some rivers are clear, some are brown. Some are white. And some water's black. If it's got a lot of tannic acid from pine needles, water can be like black. Then it's got alligators in it. You gotta be careful. But if water is not clear, it doesn't matter that there's waves on top or not. You still can't see through it, and that is doubt. You're unsure of if what you are doing is the right thing to do at all, right? And that is the fifth hindrance. And we're not going to go too much into that one, but removing doubt kind of comes from confidence, and confidence comes from experience. Experience creates wisdom, and then you know what to do and what not to do. So the water may be not clear exactly, but to make it clear, you need to map the bottom a little bit and know what's down there. And then you'll, from experience, you got to go look, and then you can get rid of that. That just shows that you're just not really sure that the thing you're going to do is the thing you need to do. And we'll talk about that in a future episode. I don't have the solution for that right now. But anyway, that's how to cure restlessness and the mind kind of going like on a broken record. The same question keeps coming up again. What am I going to do? What am I going to do about this? Write it down as a task and put it in a safe place where you put all your tasks, and use it as a checklist of things to do. And that should help put it away. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the show. Out. All right, let's step away from the regular content here for a minute and drop in on a little Amrita bars. I just got off the phone with Arshad, the owner of Amrita bars, and he said that let's go ahead and change the discount code to Zen 2018 so we can keep track of things for the year. And he also wanted to talk to Kai, which is really cool, and help sponsor Kai with being an Amrita athlete. And I was really, really excited. This is Kai's first sponsorship. And Kai's my 13-year-old son who's big in the triathlon and is just killing it out there. And that just goes to show how much the Amrita Bars group is behind ZenTri, and a fan of you guys out there as well, and a believer in the show. And what you can do is get your own Amrita bars with the discount code of Zen 2018, and you get $10 off your initial order. And also for all ongoing orders, you get another 10% off. And let's see, when you get to $150 total, you can get a free Amrita top. So that would be a cycling jersey, a running shirt, tri-top. They just have to send Arshad an email. So you can go to amritahealthfoods.com and check out all their stuff. They've got date-based bars that are really good with the no nuts, gluten-free. We're just like super, super healthy, super clean, easy to eat, great for being on the bike, and just super easy to digest. I had one the other morning before going out on a ride. It took me forever to get going on a workout, so I started snacking on them. And then I have them at work, and it's really great because I know that they're going to be super healthy. And they have like a whole bunch of different flavors. They have protein recovery bars, all that good stuff. So again, check them out at amritahealthfoods.com and use discount code ZenTri2018 at checkout. All right, we are going to answer a really good question from BRAD628, I think, on Instagram. I don't have it right in front of me right this second. But anyway, he asked a question about hitting a plateau and then the frustration of people being faster than you. And his is specifically with the pool, and that's what I'm going to talk about, how we handle this in the pool. And but just remember that you can use these same techniques for running and biking if you're not interested in all the swimming talk. So let me turn off the AC here. It's a little chilly. He said he's an adult onset swimmer. He's been swimming a while and then hit a plateau, and then and by a while, like a few weeks to months maybe, and then hit a plateau and doesn't seem to be getting any faster, but he doesn't want to go swim because he's pissed off. He's in a funk, I think is the word he said, that the people around him are faster than him. And this is very irritating. Okay, so let me tell you one thing for sure is this is real. It's a real illusion. It's a feeling you're having that is very frustrating and not necessary. Okay, and they've proven it. At a few years ago, they ran an experiment either at West Point or the Naval Academy, and they took incoming students, cadets that had looked like they were going to struggle academically and maybe not make it, and they put them with either an A and a B group. They put them maybe a C group, maybe a control group, but with you have a roommate when you go there. So they paired them with a roommate that was either academically awesome or academically just slightly better than the kid with potentially bad grades. And what they found was if the students, the cadets that were paired up with their roommates, who they're exposed to all the time, the study habits and everything, that were academically awesome, those cadets were likely to fail out, have terrible grades, and it's because the gap was too big and it was frustrating, so they just threw their hands up in the air and wanted to quit, kind of like what you're talking about right now. And because everybody's swimming so much faster than you want to quit. And then if they were paired with a roommate that was just somewhat better than them, they saw that as not a bridge too far. They were like, oh, I just got to change these few things and I can be as good, at least as good as this guy, right? And it's kind of like a wall versus a staircase. You see a wall, you're like, I can't go over that, right? That's the whole point of a wall, is you can't go over it. But a staircase is a wall, but with tiny little steps in it, right? And so you just go up, 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 and then you're like, oh, that's no problem. I just climb those stairs, because each little step up doesn't seem insurmountable. Well, in the pool, on good swim teams that I noticed this, they do the slowest lane. Say you're like at the diving blocks and you're facing you're on the edge on the wall and you're facing out across the pool. The pools that it just happened to be a coincidence. The pools that I swam in, the 3, 4, 5 swim teams I was on, slowest is in lane 1, fastest, and it ramps up, fastest in lane 8, if it was an 8-lane pool, let's say. And you start off in one of the slower lanes. They kind of can tell. And then what happens is, it's magic. You're faster than the people once you get into lane 2, because there's always new people coming in, right, that are going to be slower. Eventually, you're going to work your way up to lane 2. Well, now you're faster than somebody, and that makes you feel good. Well, let's say you start off in lane 1. You're only slightly slower than people in lane 2. You work your way up, and you're in the water, and you're swimming next to them constantly, so you see their form, you see what they're doing, right? And that's really all you can see, is the lane to the left and the lane to the right. That's your limited vision. You can't see any farther than that when you're swimming much, really. So you see on your right side the group that's just slightly faster than you, and you start trying to copy everything that they're doing. They're like, oh, when they push off the wall, they streamline more than I do. Oh, they keep their head down. Oh, they flip turn longer or faster or whatever. Or wow, they're pulling harder. There's like endless little things that you pick up on. And then after a while, you work your way up from lane 2 to lane 3, and then lane 4, lane 5, lane 6, lane 7. And, where you end up going is your full potential. So when you're swimming, one thing is to quit comparing yourself to people that are way better than you. You got to figure out some way to swim next to people that are only slightly faster than you, and not people in the same lane even per se, but people one lane over. So it makes you feel good that you're swimming like that. So I don't know if you can do that or not, in your swim situation. And then the other thing is you got to quit comparing yourself. You pull you go nuclear option and quit comparing yourself to other people and compare yourself to yourself, and just try to improve and notice when you swim faster than yourself. And to do that, you use the pace clock or your watch, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do 10 50s, and it takes me a minute to swim a 50, and so I'm going to do that. Okay, and you just got to ignore everybody else and go, okay, now I'm going to try to swim 10 50s and try to do it on 58 seconds or 55 seconds or something like that. And then when you start beating your own times, because now you're training yourself. You're trying to train yourself, not train other people. And then you can go, oh, now I am getting better. And then that makes you feel good about what you're doing. And then you can, be happier in the pool. So there's a million ways to do that with the pace clock. You pick workouts with repeatable things in them, and remember the different times that it takes you to do them, and try to improve on those times of yourself, and not versus other people around you. And that's if you are swimming like solo or not on a swim team. Okay, if you end up in a swimming class, ask the coach to put you in between lanes of people that are slightly slower and slightly faster than you. Okay, that's it. Out, bang. All right, let's not forget our main homies, Salt Stick. Salt Stick is the sodium electrolyte, potassium, magnesium, all the good stuff that matches what you sweat out. They sat down in a lab like our friends in Hornet Juice and figured out what you're actually sweating out when you work hard, and then put that into a capsule so that you can put it back in. It's all the good stuff. During my 100-mile Gran Fondo, I did one salt stick cap per hour. I mixed it right into my fuel, and it was fantastic, man. Like I said, I started to get cramps and then it went away. Really good stuff. So my electrolytes were on point. All right, you can get Salt Stick by going to saltstick.com/ZenTri. And when you go there, it'll ask you, what's the password? Because what's the password? And it is ZenTri. Oh, man, that's great. And let's see. You can, I think it's 25% off is what you get. But anyway, there's also a store locator at saltstick.com, or shopsaltstick.com is another website they have. If you live out of the United States, the discount's only good for inside the United States. But anyway, you need to make your water stick, or else it'll run right through you. And the way you make it stick is with extra electrolytes. And it really does work. It's really good stuff. I can tell if I don't use Salt Stick, then I crave salt the rest of the day after a longer bike ride, for example, here in the Texas heat. And if I do use Salt Stick, then I don't go binging on potato chips and other salty, crappy junk like that. It really is a smart way to go do things. And it's used by tons and tons and tons of pros. And they have that dispenser that you can twist and get your Salt Stick like extruded, one capsule at a time. It is really amazing stuff. So again, go to saltstick.com/ZenTri and then use the password ZenTri, and that'll get you in for your discount. and make your water stick with salt stick. All right, back to the show. All right, let's cover the personal things that went down in the Gran Fondo. I wanted to save this towards the end because, so it's the individual things that I did that you may not be that interested in, but you may also. It kind of depends on the person. So I fit this in as kind of an after here, but it's looking at my notes. It's very useful stuff. The day before, wait, hold on. There we go. I've been having trouble with the rear bottle rack on the back of my bike, and in Ironmans, that's a really handy thing to have, is these bottle cages behind your saddle. And it's a very aerodynamic place to put one or two bottles. But there's all different brands, and it's not very standardized. And I've got one from Minora, Minoura, which I really, really love. It keeps the bottles vertical so that they don't want to bounce out. And but with this new saddle, I've got an ISM, and it's their narrow saddle. It's a double prong saddle where the seat rails are more vertical in the back and also closer to the front of the saddle. So 99% of your bottle cage holders aren't going to work on this thing. And I started trying to bend this aluminum alloy bar, these bars that hold this rack together, and then I read that I was going to snap them before they bend. Solid aluminum stuff will break. And usually when they say alloy, they mean aluminum. Although alloy can be any kind of metal, blends of metal, but there's titanium alloy, there's steel alloys. Most steel is an alloy, or pretty much all steel. And then aluminum alloy is usually in the bike industry what they call alloy, for whatever reason. And they said you got to torch it. And this was just Googling stuff on YouTube. It had nothing to do with cycling. So you got to heat it up with a torch, and then you can bend it, and then be careful while you're doing it. So it takes about 2-3 minutes to heat up aluminum to get it hot enough. So I did that. I posted a video on Instagram, ZenTri on Instagram, and posted this video of me torching it, and I bent it into the shape that I needed, and that was really, really cool. And when you're tapering, there's lots of things that you should do to keep you busy, because you start going a little bit stir crazy, not being able to train as much because you need to taper. Well, that's the time to tweak things, mess with stuff, just as long as you don't ruin whatever you're doing. It's a good time to ruin your stuff. The day of the race, I got up and forgot that I had needed to shave my leg hair, and it actually makes a difference of a half a mile per hour to maybe even a mile per hour of drag, depending on the person. And just a real quick tip, you don't have to, if you want to save time in triathlon, you're an age grouper and you want to maximize your training time and everything, don't shave all the time. That's time you could be out training. Just clip your leg hair with a beard trimmer on its maximum setting, closest setting, the day before the race. But anyway, I did it the morning of the race in the garage, so it was quieter, and it took like 15 minutes. And I just did from my ankles up to the middle of my thighs. Coffee, maple syrup, getting ready to go swim. 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Okay, then the taper was driving me a little bit crazy. I wanted to go running more than anything. And I thought that was a good sign because I'm overcoming plantar fasciitis, and the fact that I wanted to go run and I didn't want to taper, was a good sign that when I was done, I was going to get right back to it. Also, I talk on occasion, I will continue to talk more and do a show in detail on what is a soul triathlete. A soul triathlete is somebody who has transcended racing and just likes to train and then race on occasion. And I saw a post on Slow Twitch the other day. This guy was like, okay, I'm kind of new to triathlon, and what's wrong with, what do I need for this? And what do y'all think of this race schedule? And it was like 15 races over the next months. And I wanted to reply back so bad. I'd be like, dude, this is an injury schedule and a burnout schedule. Learn to love to train, but you got to get there on yourself. So I didn't say anything. And let's see. I went straight from the trainer to the road which I think I may have mentioned earlier. I swapped out my wheels the day before and adjusted the brakes so that they fit. And on a super bike, it's hard to adjust the brakes. And this is because, well, they're all integrated and stuff, but you have to adjust the brakes because a lot of times this is if your training wheels aren't the same width as your racing wheels, and mine aren't. And that's a long story. My racing wheels are 10 years old, maybe 11 years old. And so they're a little bit narrower. And they just happen to be because wheels got wider recently. And let's see. And I think I took the bike out on the pavement no, I don't think I did at all. I think it was just from the parking lot to the race start is the only time I tested my brakes and my bike fit, which I was not happy about. And this is because I left too much stuff to the last minute. So you want to not do that. It made for a little bit of stress and could have gone bad. Let's see. I made up my fuel the morning of, and I'm still keeping my super fuel a little bit secret because I want to work out a deal with them, and I'll get it to y'all because it really freaking works, and get a discount on the show. But I did use Hornet juice as well, and what I did was to simulate an Ironman. And to really test the fuel and not screw up the fuel, I sacrificed a little bit of performance and for speed and made up I figured I was going to be out there for 5 hours at most, and then so a bottle per hour. So I made up the bottle between my arms. That's your BTA between the arms bottle, and 2 bottles on the frame, and then 2 bottles behind the seat of fuel. And then I had a Camelback full of water that I refilled about halfway through. And that was my hydration. And considering it wasn't all that hot, when I get to the whole point of me having to pee so much, maybe that's the reason why. Let's see. We headed out, and the race started. Before the race started, I met up with a bunch of people just by accident. People I know and stuff, and was talking with them. And then I was eating pancakes out of a Ziploc, just casually as needed, not to overfuel or anything like that. And I got to the race site and finished getting ready there. And this was going to be my first outdoor ride in months. And the weather was actually kind of nice. It was a little bit chilly, but it was going to be sunny and warm up a little bit. So I at the last minute, I ditched my gloves. That's all the extra I had. I had arm coolers on to keep the sun off, and so I basically had long sleeves. And even though they're arm coolers, if it's cold outside, they actually keep you a little bit warm. They transition on their own from arm warmers to arm coolers if you're starting off when it's cool and then when it gets hot. And they're made by DeSoto. Any arm coolers will do that if they're thin. All right, I got to go swim. We'll pick up with the bang, go, start of the race, and the race finish when we come back. All right, I got to go swim. Swim. Out, bang. All right, we are leaving the pool. Going outside. Here's your soundscape. There's a grackle. First birds ever. And there he goes. Really, really good swim. Good mood. Ignore the grackles. And let's see. Let's start off. For the swim, I did 4 blocks of 15 minutes on a 1:19 pace. And whatever your pace you do, if you do blocks of 15 minutes, try to keep a constant pace. I use a beep timer on my watch so that I can just feel a Garmin beeps and vibrates on your wrist, a Garmin 920 XT. So you can tell if you're on pace or not without having to stop and look at a clock. It's brilliant. Brilliant design by Garmin, by accident. But anyway, it's easy, and then it gets kind of medium hard, and then by the end it gets hard, which is exactly a good workout. And 4 times. It's exactly like lifting weights 4 times. Okay, let's talk about. I roll over the start. Started talking to a neighbor of mine, a female neighbor, ex-neighbor. We still live in the same neighborhood. We just moved houses. And then, all good. Caught up with her. And then they started the announcements before the race. You know, American anthem, stuff like that. And then they announced had a special announcement that the winner of the 500, this is Saturday morning, that the winner of the 500-mile gravel Gran Fondo, it's a mix of pavement and gravel, was with us, and that he broke the record, which makes it a race. And he finished last night, and he's over here, and there's this guy, looked like he was in his 30s, smiling and waving. I was like, God dang, he just broke the record on a 500-mile gravel ride, and he's over there like happy and waving. He's probably high on caffeine. That's what I've learned. And beer. They had free beer. Karbach Brewery. Anyway, so they said, okay, we're going to start off. There's all these different distances. We're going to start off with 100 milers first. Y'all get up front, and then we're going to kick off the other people after that. And so then they said, let's go. And there was a bunch of groups of roadies from different cycling clubs, Houston, Dallas, Austin, that kind of stuff. And we took off. And the first thing I try to do is simulate like an Ironman and try to get try to start casual, but also get my heart rate up to zone 2 as efficiently and quickly as possible. And it's pretty technical at first. It's real hilly and some turns and stuff. And by the time I got to a straightaway where it leveled out a little bit, I noticed I had a train of people behind me, and I was in first, I guess. And I don't know, maybe 5 people behind me, maybe more. I don't know. You don't want to turn around and look too much or else you'll crash. But I noticed that I had some people behind me, and I'm like, well, this is like every year. And then then it goes, there's some turns, and then it goes a little bit hilly again with some pretty good hills. And that's where every year some roadies pass me, because they're big into doing the going too hard uphill. And triathlon, to get successful in triathlon, you have to learn to hold back on the hills, because over time they'll wear you out. And so right from the beginning, you need to hold back on the hills. And so I was holding back on the hills, and some people passed me, and then I'd pass them back on the downhill, especially because my bike was loaded up with 5 water bottles and a Camelback. And I'm about 15 pounds overweight of my race weight. And so I was like a brick house. But so that makes it easy for people to pass me going uphill. And then and for me to catch them going downhill. So then after a while, then it finally leveled out. We're maybe 20, 30 minutes in, and then it starts hitting this river bottom. It gets flat and going into this pretty decent headwind. 15 miles per hour on average. God, this person. I don't know what this person's doing. Okay. Needed to merge, and somebody was going like half a mile per hour. But anyway, strong headwind coming at us, and then also from the side a little bit, a mix. And when you're doing a course and it's an out and back into a headwind, anytime you're going into headwind, you need to go a little bit harder, because physics and math, which is physics, says you need to get out of that headwind. It's kind of like going uphill. You go a little bit harder, and that way you're done with it sooner, and then you can spend more. You want to spend less time in the friction and more time with the tail pushing. And our predominant winds are out of that direction. This course went kind of south first, and then came back. And I went a little bit too hard going into the headwind, because on the way back I started to have a little bit of trouble. I was fading power wise, but I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm riding along, and I'm doing good. And I pass the one guy that was in front of me that had passed me on a hill. And I'm always really friendly to everybody because you never know who, one, it's because it's nice, and then two, because you might need their help when they pass you back later when you have a flat or you've crashed or something like that, right? So never be a dick out on the bike, and that's against my nature anyway. So I've just noticed that I go out of my way to be friendly. So I talked to the guy just for a second. I go, "It's a nice day for a ride, man." And he was like, "Yeah." And there were some people on tri bikes, like I said, and so anyway, the other thing I do is when you're doing a really long ride, I also go out of my way to thank the cops and the other volunteers and say thanks for their time, and like I'll slow to a coast and always go thank you so much, and take that extra time because it's twofold. One, you should thank them, and then that way they don't think that they do a better job of stopping cars and stuff like that when they feel like you care and that you appreciate it. And then also taking that extra time when you're going a long way slows you down a little bit and allows you to catch your breath just a little bit. And we tend to go too hard whenever we go long, like I'm explaining, and every little bit where you hold back a little bit is actually, if you're kind of competitive, is actually smart, and in the end it pays off. It allows you to recuperate just a little bit. And it was about an hour in or something like that. It was the first time I had to pee. And sometimes if I'm being super competitive, I'll pee. It's good training to learn how to pee on the bike. And those of you that are new to triathlon and new to the longer distance and haven't discovered this yet, this is not me being weird. This is what competitive long distance triathletes do, is they learn to pee while riding the bike. You coast on a downhill, lift your crotch up off the saddle a little bit and let it fly, and it blows off of you mostly, and usually you pour water over yourself while you're biking and running and stuff, and it ends up rinsing off, and you rinse off your bike, and it's not a big deal. The world champions do it. Everybody does it. That's good. So I always have to put that disclaimer in there. And I'll do it on rare occasion in training. But in a race, I sometimes do it. Sometimes I stop over and pee. It just kind of depends. And if it's a really flat course, then it's difficult to do because you need kind of a downhill. In Christy Wellington's book, she talks about how she peed on purpose to get people out from drafting behind her. She would spray them with her pee. And anyway, but I've got new cycling shoes, and I thought, and I also wanted to drink some beer when I was done and just chill. And I was like, I'm not going to sit in cycling shorts with a little bit of pee in them. And I'm not going to get pee in my cycling shoes. So no, I'm going to pull over and pee. So I was ahead, and so I pulled over and took a whiz. And I'm about like an hour in, right? And I'm like, well, that's a little early. And then like 30, 45 minutes again, I need to pee so bad. And I pull over and pee, and it only takes like, a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. And if you're out in the country, you don't need to get off your bike. You just straddle if you're a guy, you straddle your bike, turn to the side, make sure the wind's coming from behind you a little bit, and then just pee. And then you can hear a car coming, and then clean yourself up, pull everything up so they can't see you. And that's how you do it. But this peeing was getting really annoying. And really annoying. And I've got this problem where sometimes I need to pee way too much. And there's like 10 different, if you look up on WebMD, then it means, you'll find out that you've got throat, butt, and nut cancer. If you look up anything, I've got a freckle on my thumb. You're going to die in a week. of heart cancer, and that's WebMD. So there's like 10 reasons of why you could be peeing too much. Listening to Triathlon Terrence, Austin 70.3, he said he had to pee a ton. I don't remember if it was a cold race. And, honestly, it probably has to do with the amount of water I was drinking and the temperature being cold. Because a lot of times I can ride and I'm fine. So it's something in the environment mostly, or something I'm doing. And then I stopped at an aid station. It was the furthest out aid station in Burton, Texas. You guys got to go check it out. And I talked to this burly guy that was like a lumberjack with a mountain bike out there, and he was manning the one aid station, and he was cool. And I'll tell you about that when I come back. I got to go into W to the ERK. All right, back. On my way to Freebird's World Burrito. Okay, so I'm at the turnaround, basically, and yeah, there's this guy out there, looks like a lumberjack, and I start talking to him. He's super cool, mellow. He said he was a little bit older than me. He was 48 or something like that, and he said, yeah, man. First thing I try to do is ask people about themselves, right? Not make everything about me. So I go, I said, thanks a lot, man, for coming out here and helping out. And he goes, oh, yeah, I love this stuff. I go, do you ride bikes? And he goes, yeah, man, I ride mountain bikes and something or another. And then he goes, I live off the grid. And that means no power, no whatever. And he said that he's got some property and he rides around on that. And they call it sugar sand, but it's real fine sand. And he said that he pulled his leg muscle mountain biking the other day, sugar sand, but he has a Cannondale and like some other stuff, and they're old, and he just loves it, whatever. And I said, that's really cool. Thanks so much. And I was refilling a Camelback and all that stuff. And he goes, let me get a picture of you so we can get a photo of who was here first. I can send it out to everybody so that they know who to look for. And I said, yeah, cool. And at that point, he was, I was waiting to get back on my bike, and then some roadies passed me. I think I mentioned that earlier. And then I passed them back a little bit later. They asked me, are you all right? And I said, yeah. And then a little while later, when I passed them back, I go, are you all right? But anyway, I love that tongue click. I need to get rid of that. But I was doing the Starkowitz thing, one of the fastest American Ironman, possibly, and he's a bigger guy. You put your fuel in between the arms bottle, your BTA bottle, and drink that. And you can have your fuel and concentrate on your bike, different places. So you have 1, 2, 3 big bottles full of fuel concentrate, and then you put that an hour's worth in the bottle between your hands, between your arms, and then also add water to dilute it to get it to the right amount for an hour. It's a very common trick, and that's what I was doing, sort of. I was doing a full bottle and just pouring it in, and I was trying to finish the bottle I have has a lid that pops off the middle of it, and then a straw. So I'd finish an hour's worth on the hour. I try to time it so I'd finish on the hour. I was nailing it, and then I'd pour a new bottle in. And then for fresh water, I was drinking from the Camelback. And I was having to stop like every 45 minutes, every hour to pee again. It was really, really annoying. And then on the way back, I got a tailwind, so I can actually sit up a little bit on occasion. And also, I started getting leg cramps. I had been trying too hard, and my longest ride had been about 3 hours, all indoors, So now we're into the 3.5, 4 hour mark, and I started getting leg cramps. And I'm a salt stick user, which we'll get to discount code in a minute. But and I'd added extra salt stick to my fuel, so my electrolytes were good. There is a very strong and real belief that most of the time it's not from electrolytes, getting cramps and stuff. It's not from electrolytes. It's just simply from trying too hard. That's why you get them in races and not in training. You're just trying too hard, and you need to back off a little bit, especially if your electrolytes are good, which they were. And so I just backed off a little bit, and guess what? They went away. That might be the first time that's ever happened, because I was pushing it later on in the race, because it gets hilly again. It goes from flat to like really hilly again and into a headwind again at the end. And there I was pushing the pace, and at the end, having to, and no more cramps, just by backing off a little bit and going a little bit easier when I was having the cramps, and then making sure I was eating and drinking enough. So there was that. And then I crossed the finish line, and it was the least fanfare that I'd ever seen. One, I was earlier than a lot of people expected, and two, I had no family or friends there at the moment. Kai and Emily decided not to go because Kai had a soccer game, and his hamstring was hurt from track. And hold on, I'm gonna move. His hamstring was hurt from track, so we decided to err on the side of caution and not actually have him race. So that worked out all right. But I crossed the finish line and literally nothing. There's people and everything, but I had my beer, and then went back and looked at my bike, and like I said, I had a flat tire. And I was at the bike shop a few days later, which I'll detail in a minute. And the guys at the bike shop said that there was a lot of people with flat tires towards the end. And I heard this from one of Emily's coworkers. She said that somebody called their husband. It was a woman. She called her husband and begged for him to come pick her up, because she was so tired from the race and going at headwind on that really, really rough pavement. That's how bad it was. And he said no. He said, you've only got 10 miles left to go, so keep pedaling. I'll start heading your way maybe, but you need to finish. You're almost done. And then she ended up finishing on her own. All right, I'm at Freebirds. I'm gonna eat and go over my notes and make sure I've got everything to finish up this segment of the show. I'll be right back. Out, Bing. All right, that is it. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We're back on the beach again with the squirrels and the iguanas in Costa Rica, and I'm going to try to get this show wrapped up and posted. The internet is it's all right. We'll see, and it kind of comes and goes, and that's quite all right. It's very, very cool. So hopefully next episode I'll talk about the adventures that we've had here in Costa Rica, and some of the things we did and saw. We did a little bit of swimming yesterday evening and walking through town, but there's so much to do here. Costa Rica is one of these countries that they decided to base their economy more on tourism, and I think they have almost no military. There's like no guns, so we're really excited to get out and about and do a bunch of stuff. All right, that's it. Everybody stay safe out there. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.